Hi, this is Tumka Travels and today we are in Malta.
Malta is an archipelago of islands in the Mediterranean Sea between Sicily and Northern Africa.
The 10th smallest country in the world, it centres around two main islands, Malta and Gozo, which lies just off the mainland's northwestern coast.
Though Valletta is the smallest capital in the EU, the country is actually its most densely populated and the fourth in the world. Most of the island is covered in the urban sprawl of its towns and cities, which is punctuated by a few miles of countryside here and there.
But of course, being an island, Maltese culture revolves around the sea, which means lots of fishing and lots of swimming in some of its amazing beaches along its outstandingly beautiful coast.
You're having a lovely time?
I really am.
It's beautiful.
Malta is a big destination for the British.
And why do you think that might be?
Could it be to do with the fact that everyone speaks English here?
You think? Malta actually only gained its independence in 1964, and before that, it was part of the British Empire.
And Britain loved its little Mediterranean baby so much that it really didn't want to let it go.
And there's evidence of its past Britishness all over the island.
Where are we, Jeremy?
The Dingley Cliffs in the south of the island.
And what is that over there?
That's Valletta.
The northernmost tip of the island, which we can see from the southernmost tip of the island. Weird.
Inland is the fortified city of Mdina.
Serving as the Maltese capital from antiquity until medieval times, the city still exists fully within its walls, sitting at the top of a hill with views across the entire island.
This city was fairly impregnable and has subsequently survived to this day completely intact, albeit with a few modifications along the way.
It's pretty impressive actually. Just outside its walls is the town of Rabat.
It has some pretty churches, but the main thing you should do when visiting the town is head underground.
Malta is absolutely riddled with ancient catacombs, which are networks of tunnels bored into the bedrock to create burial chambers for early Christians.
There are many different catacombs you can visit, of varying length and depth, but we opted to see the catacombs of St. Paul.
As Bible buffs will know, St. Paul was shipwrecked on Malta on his way to Rome in the 1st century AD and stayed for 3 months on Malta.
And obviously, the cave he supposedly lived in is now a shrine.
Which you can visit as part of your tour.
Then, a very short drive away is Malta's most famous of its 359 churches, the Mosta Rotunda.
359, but Malta is tiny.
But what can I say? It's probably one of the most Catholic places on the planet, and you can see pictures and statues of popes wherever you turn, as well as Vatican flags flying alongside their own.
The Rotunda's dome is impressive and was the 3rd largest in the world when it was built, and narrowly avoided destruction after a bomb fell through its roof during World War II but didn't explode.
They've given me this lovely shawl to wear because my vest was not appropriate for the Catholics of Mosta. It's a lovely shade of salmon.
Underneath the church, they have preserved some of the old air raid shelters for the town, which you can visit too.
Back outside, you're never too far from a beach.
And we couldn't resist the urge to go and get our feet wet.
How does the water feel?
Warm.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's glorious.
Sweet Mediterranean Sea. Just casually floating in the Mediterranean, mate. Nothing to see here. Waves, mate. Oh, God. I love it. So cold and cool.
Malta has been inhabited for a long time,
Since 5900 BC, in fact.
and there is evidence of its prehistoric inhabitants all over the island with some amazing preserved temples which are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
We visited a few, and some are definitely better than others.
The Tarxian Temples were the best ones we found to visit without costing us a fortune.
Because the best ones, called the Hypogeum of Al Salfieni, cost €40 to visit. Admittedly, it's underground and looks pretty damn cool.
But if we paid €25 to visit the Palace of Versailles, we're not paying 40 to go down a few tunnels.
Next, we hop on a ferry and cross the short causeway to Gozo, passing the island of Comino on the way.
There's the beautiful Blue Lagoon on Comino that you can visit, but we unfortunately didn't have enough time to go.
One of the most striking buildings on Gozo is the Rotunda of Shukia.
Most commonly known as the Rotunda of St. John the Baptist.
It's been modified a lot over the years, starting with an ornate but small church, which then they decided to extend in 1952.
Into an enormous barn of a place.
A beautiful barn, admittedly.
We were met by a lovely old lady who charged us €2 to go up to the top of the dome, and it was totally worth it for the amazing views across the town below.
Nearby is Victoria, the biggest town on the island, which contains the citadel,
Which is an ancient fortress at the top of a hill, a bit like Mdina but smaller.
but just as perfectly formed.
Did you know that Gozo is named after a man called So, who was really, really slow, and he'd walk around and the people would shout at him and they'd go, "Go, Zo!" You made it all done, didn't you? Yes. Funny story. When Jérémy was first in the UK and his English wasn't as good as it is now, he thought that the word Maltesers was pronounced Maltesers. Interesting. So from ever since, Maltesers have been known as Maltesers, just like the people from Malta.
The coastline of Gozo doesn't disappoint either, with cliffs and impressive geological formations aplenty.
Including a tidal lake that is perfect for bathing.
There also used to be a really impressive sea arch here too, but only a few years ago, coastal erosion led to it falling into the sea.
Awkward.
But there are still pictures of it everywhere, just in case you wanted to see what it used to look like.
Along the coast, you'll also see a lot of these shallow troughs etched into the coastline.
They look like individually socially distanced bathing platforms, but they're actually salt pans in which the sea splashes over the rocks, collecting in pools which then evaporate fairly quickly in direct sunlight, leaving behind a deposit of sea salts to be harvested and sold.
Back on the mainland, there are plenty of other places to visit.
Like the weirdly preserved set of the 1980s film Popeye starring Robin Williams, which, you know, is a film iconic enough for everyone to want to see. Have you seen it?
No,
Nor me.
nobody has.
Exactly.
Malta and Gozo are two beautiful islands, rammed full of culture, stunning architecture and gorgeous coastline.
But now it's time to head to the final stop on our tour of this beautiful Mediterranean island.
Valletta.
The island's capital is actually entirely a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is the crown jewel of this remarkable country.
And so you'll have to tune in into our next video to see it in all its glory.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and to follow us on Instagram.
At Through My Quirky Eyes.
And make sure you tune in next time when we will be in...
Valletta.
Until next time, folks.
See ya.